button, so I now have that available. And we're live. Good morning, Derby. Thank you very much for tuning in again. We're really enjoying ourselves. I have to say, everyone in the Friends of Derby Arboretum and everyone who's involved in this project, and we're thrilled. We're absolutely over the moon with all the participation that we've had. So as soon as we come off each of the live shows, so there's been 2 so far. This is the third one that's out today. And every time we come off the live show, we're straight onto YouTube, and we're looking at the views and the interactions and the comments and on social media, and we're thrilled about how all those comments roll in. So do keep them coming. We're really enjoying that. So if this is the first show that you've joined, what's this all about? Well, every year we hold Lark in the Park, which is an anniversary of the donation of the park to the people of Derby in 1840. And that being 1840, this means that this is our 180th anniversary. And on our 180th anniversary, we were thinking, we've been preparing for a couple of years to do something really special. Then, of course, COVID happened. So in a few Zoom meetings, which was new to a lot of us, we decided on the grand idea of having a week-long YouTube festival, which we're doing at the moment. So the way it works is we have a live show every day. So we've done 2 already. So from the 12th to the 20th of September, we have a live show from 10 to 11 o'clock. And then after that, we're premiering videos each day. And all of these videos are community-made films, and they're different films. Some have done slideshows, some have walked around the park. People have played music from home, and so on and so forth. So there's a wide range of things we're showing. And again, we're absolutely thrilled how popular all of these have been. And we've got a very special day today, in that we're going to take you around the community garden. So it's not just the 3 of us in the room. So I'll introduce the 3 that I have with me in a second. But it's not just the 3 of us in the room. We have our head gardener of the community garden, of the Friends of Derby Arboretum Community Garden, Simon Bacon, and he's out there in the community garden now, ready to go live and zoom in from there. So you'll get an opportunity to beam into the Derby Arboretum Community Garden. Now, if you've joined the shows before, you've met Jo and Mick already. So Jo Semister, she is the chair of the Friends of Derby Arboretum. Hi, Jo, welcome back. Hi. And then also Jo's in the orangery, also Mick's in the orangery. Mick is the community parks officer. There's you're one of 4, is that right, in Derby?
Yes, one of 4 community parks officers, 2 of us looking after the north, 2 looking after the south, but there's also other members of a rather very fantastic and committed parks team in the city.
Fantastic. And me playing with Twitter in the past, I understood from Derby Parks, or that they made me aware of you as Mr. Arboretum. So you've been working on the Arboretum. I don't know if you were aware of that nickname, but yes, you are. You're certainly known to me from now on as Mr. Arboretum, as far as the community parks are concerned. And we also have with us Rowan Anderson, who is a member of the Friends of Derby Arboretum and a very committed volunteer of the community garden. And you got involved with the community garden, was it a couple of years ago?
Yes.
Yeah, so I've made good friends with Rowan as last year. Rowan has been excellent because she's shown me what to do and what to clip, and given me the jobs to do in the community garden, as I've been learning all about gardening as we're here. So Rowan is going to chat to us shortly about the film that she's made with Simon. But just before we chat about that and some of Rowan's other amazing projects as well, I just want to mention a couple of things. So those of you who've been going on to social media will have seen that all the things that Jo had mentioned on the dates of the photographs and some extra bits and pieces that were mentioned in the show yesterday, she's been putting up on Facebook. So she will chat about those later on. On Twitter, we've been putting a quiz every day, and the quiz has been people have been interacting with the quiz quite well. So we've had several people, I think 25 people yesterday, and quite a few the day before that. And we put another one up today. But before I chat about the one we put up today, I'm going to again attempt to share the screen for the one we had yesterday. So was this the one yesterday? That was the right. So who designed the Derby Arboretum, the first urban park in the UK, created and dedicated to the public? So this is quite an interesting one, because we've got an almost 50-50 split between Joseph Strutt and John Claudius Lawden. Before I say which one is the right one out of those two, I'll just mention the Frederick Law Olmsted, who I think there's probably only one or two clicked on that one. Frederick Law Olmsted actually took inspiration from the Derby Arboretum and used his inspiration of the park to design Central Park in New York. We weren't the only park that he got inspiration from, but he has mentioned he got inspiration from us, and actually in I think it's the Congress Library, I'm not sure, in Washington, actually has Olmsted's words saying he thoroughly enjoyed his visit to this impressive park. So we are famous and recognised in other parts of the world as well. So he took inspiration. Joseph Strutt donated the park to the people of Derby, but he commissioned John Claudius Lawden, who Joseph Strutt, being one of the richest men in the world at the time, could afford to commission whoever he wanted, and so he commissioned the best landscape designer of the day. John Claudius Lawden did a lot more than just designing landscapes, but he was the fashionable choice of the day, and I think Mick, you'll agree, he did a fantastic job.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm really well blessed to actually have this site in Derby. I mean, it's a testament to Strutt as the benefactor that he had the foresight and the desire to gift things to the people of Derby, to gift this park. But the real feather in the cap is the fact that Lawden designed it, and it was really rather the final outpouring of his life's work. Lawden only survived the Arboretum by 3 years. He did do another 1 or 2 commissions after he completed the Arboretum before he died, but this was really the outpouring of a life's work, where he got to lay trees out in a parkland setting as he really saw fit. So we are really well blessed. And it is so intact. It is such an intact example of Lawden's work as well.
So not only is it his magnum opus, but his swan song as well.
I think so, yeah. Others might disagree with me, but when you read sort of what he writes about his justification, because Strutt went to him with £10,000 to spend. He'd already acquired the land and said he'd rather quite like something, because Lawden had just done the Botanic Gardens in Birmingham as well. That was one of Lawden's works. And rather says to Lawden, I'd rather quite like to do something like the Botanic Gardens. And but Lawden, he's, I think, very keen to actually put trees, to do an arboretum, and he made some strange arguments, but won the case. And so we've got this arboretum.
Well, we are very, very lucky. It is different. It is a very different looking park when you go around. It isn't like other parks because of some very, very specific design features that are in it. And we will see that in the film that you and I made, Mick, a few weeks ago, where we're walking around the park, and you'll be able to see a glimpse of the trees in the park today live when Simon dials in from the community garden. But the community gardens is on the old bowling pitch. So it's slightly away from the trees, but you'll get a glimpse of it live then. So well done those who guessed John Claudius Lawden. So that was a little bit harder than the one that we had the day before. We've got an even harder one today that is actually up on the site on Twitter. So please do have a look at that. And we're asking, there is a tree in the Arboretum which is number 1 It's #1 in the catalogue that was produced by Loudon. I've learned all this from Mick, by the way, who's a cornucopia of knowledge of all the trees and the layout of the Derby Arboretum. And we're asking, what is that tree? Is it a coconut tree? Is it a walnut tree? Or is it a cucumber tree? So put your answers on Twitter, and we will announce which one it is on tomorrow's show as well. So again, thank you everyone for joining us. And yes, if we perhaps can kick off, Rowan, if I could chat to you about one of the projects that you've been working on the park in the last year or so, and something I know in now knowing you quite well, something you are utterly passionate about is your dogs and other people's dogs, and you love animals, and you created a Facebook project called Hounds in the Park, and you've met lots of people as a result.
Yes, it's called the Hounds of Derby Arboretum, and I love all animals, but I'm particularly grateful to cats and dogs as companion animals because they have chosen to live with us. I used to have a German Shepherd, a beautiful girl called Bobby, and for 5 years I took her every Sunday to a training club in Elveston. It was quite sort of military almost. It was lots of ring craft. It was obedience based, and German Shepherds do actually like to do this sort of thing. When she died, I sort of fell out of love with that particular kind of dog training, and I stopped going. Also because my new shepherd is a Carpathian shepherd, and she's so laid back that she would simply lie down in the middle of one of our trips up and down the fields. So it was pointless. And because of the life that she'd had, because she's from Bosnia, I just thought, why make her do things that she doesn't even want to do? So I stopped going there, and I really missed photographing dogs because I always used to take my camera up there. I was the sort of main photographer for the club. So I started photographing dogs in our park. I didn't really know what to do with them apart from putting them on my own Facebook page. And I just had this great idea of starting a page solely devoted to the dogs that come to this particular park. I'm very interested in that. There's a photographer called Elliot Irwitt, who was quite a famous Magnum photographer. He's actually still alive, he's in his 90s now. And he produced a book in the 60s, I think, called Dogs. And it's a really quick book. It's in my bathroom. I look at it nearly every day. It's just full of photographs of dogs. This is pre-digital. And he didn't even do it on purpose. He found, going through his photos, thinking about another book, that he had an awful lot of pictures of dogs. So he just put them all together, and it's such a beautiful book. It's wonderful. Also, I have a great love for photography, and photographing dogs is it's a skill and an art, and in its own. There's a lot of spray and pray, even when they're asleep. So you've got to have very fast shutter speeds, you've got to have the right lens for the right whatever they're doing, and it's very exciting, and I love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And then how do people find this Facebook? It's a Facebook page, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's open to the public. You don't have to join or anything. If you just go onto Facebook and search for the Hounds of Derby Arboretum, you'll be there. And if you've got a dog and you come to this park, you may well find that your dog's already there. Oh
goodness, yeah. I mean, because parks and dogs go together, don't they? Because when people are walking their dogs, I'm sure you'll agree, loving dogs, it's not you want to find some green space for them, don't you? Just as we need a bit of green space as well. And so yes, it's a very obviously common sight to see the dogs in there. So just to have a site dedicated to the Hounds of Derby Arboretum, it's a real asset, and you're very committed to it. So there's lots of dogs. So if you're a big fan of dogs and you like parks, then this is the site for you.
I've been doing it for just over a year now, and in that time there have been some deaths, sadly, of the dogs. I always do a sort of memorial for them when that happens, and I think it's appreciated. I mostly only photograph the dogs and not the people, because I want to do just the dogs. But there are pictures of the owners too.
Yeah, and I think as I've sensed talking to you about this project in the past, that there's a community aspect to it as well, because through that you get to know the regulars that use the park, and you talk to people on the park, and I think it really provides a real service for the people, and then they feel part of this sort of dog community, so all these different users of the park, and they feel part of this group that you've created.
Horribly excited if I see a dog that I haven't met before, and I'll sometimes start photographing it before I've asked permission. But if I do that, I always say, would it be possible to put it on my page? And then they're usually quite interested, and I think that
I've got quite a few followers, and I've have had at least one person come over to me when I've chatted to people on the park, and tell me that their dog has featured on your page as well. So there's an element of Socks was this dog's name. I can't forget this dog's name. Socks.
Yes.
So.
Yeah,
Mr. Sock, that's right, Mr. Sock. So yes, people do are very happy to be on the page, as I understand it. We'll come back to you about your photography and say that. Sorry, I think I had a bit of delay there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we'll chat to you about the photography again just shortly, because I'm very keen to find out how you enjoyed making the film that we're premiering today, and how you really have got involved with quite a lot of the other films that people have made as well, which has been absolutely brilliant. But before I do, and before we bring Simon in from the garden, I just want to have a quick chat with Mick about a Love Exploring app. Now, just because there was an echo, Mick, I put you on mute just to try and do something about that. So you'll need to take yourself off mute in a minute. But whilst you're doing that, do you want to see if you can try to share your screen of the Love Exploring app? Because I understand that Mick has put together a slideshow, and on that slideshow he has put some images of the Love Exploring app. So the Love Exploring app is something that Mick's been working on with a tech partner, so that you can actually walk around the park and identify trees and interact in quite an unusual way. And so I shall leave. I don't want to kind of steal the show from Mick, so I won't say what those unusual ways are. How are you getting on, Mick? Have you managed to find the screen to share?
Yes, I think we're there now.
Yeah, so I mean, Mick's sort of been learning lots of bits and pieces on social media, haven't you?
Yes, it's all been rather a learning curve for all of us, I think, here at the Friends
For
group.
all of us, yeah. It's and then you've taken all this on as well, doing all this with the tech partners and the Love Exploring app and digitally walking around the park. So tell us about the Love Exploring app.
Right. Well, we've been in partnership with the company called Sprite, and they've developed this app. And for many years, I've wanted to get an app on the park, and primarily because to share the trees and the history, and to make it easier for people to find and track the trees, see what trees are that they're standing next to. And finally, we have got a partner that we've been working with sort of last year and this year. The app is still for the Arboretum. We're still adding to it because there's a lot of information that needs to go onto it. So it is still being developed as we speak, but I've got a lot of information on there so far. So what you can see there is the app's called Love Exploring. So you can obviously get that from if you're Apple, from the App Store or Google Play for your Android devices. I must say, I think it works better with Android devices. I mean, I'm an Apple man, and I must say I've struggled a bit to get this together. But I'll have to talk to the developer about that. But So when you open the app, this is the opening page, and because it runs across the whole country, it locates you where you are, and then brings up the nearest parks to yourselves. So obviously here, because I was on the Arboretum at the top, then we've also got it running at Alston Park and Markeaton Park in the city. So when that comes up, it shows you the parks nearest to you that are actually involved in this app. So you click on the Arboretum in this case, and that would take you to the map page. So that brings you up just a general map of the area. Because I did this from home and not actually on the park, the little blue dot, which would be me and tell me my location, is missing off all of these screens, I'm afraid. But if I was on the sides, there would be a blue dot, which would be you. So as you moved around the park, you'd be able to know where you are in relationship to the trees and the other features. Obviously.
And I'm taking it that all the yellow is or the light green is are trees.
Yes. So on here, I think there's about 150 trees. Some only have one photo at the moment. I've been working to put up multiple images in different seasons, and I haven't loaded up the latest session of those yet. But the idea is there'll be ultimately a photograph of the tree in leaf, and then a close-up of a leaf, and then hopefully flower or fruiting bodies, depending on ultimately. So, but that all makes up to sort of 450 plus photos. We're on the way, but so when you first open the app, you'll come in. You can spread with your fingers, as you do with any app on a phone or a mobile device, and you can spread it in. So what you've got there is a very clustered view. But if you zoom into it, you can go into an area. So if this is the areas in, there'll be a blue dot telling me where I am. And then obviously just dealing with the trees at the moment. All of these are trees on the Arboretum, and if you click on one of the trees, presumably one that you stood next to and want to know more about, it'll first tell you what it is, and then if you click on that name, in this case we're just looking at the tulip tree on site, you will get a photograph and a basic name, and usually most of them will have a date, which is the date of the first year of introduction into the United Kingdom. So you've got the common name, the Latin name, and a date of introduction with most of them, unless they're a native tree or some of the trees have been here that long, they're classed as native even though they're not. So that gives you an image, so you're looking at the right tree.
So we'd be playing around with this app and learning all these Latin names and the year they were introduced to the UK. So we could be sounding very erudite at dinner parties after using this app.
Yeah, and the thing is, it ties in directly to both Strutt's and Loudon's hopes for the Arboretum, in that they saw it as not only a place of recreation, but also as a place of education and learning. They were very keen that the common man, the working people of Derby would be educated, would be elevated by their experience of nature and trees. So, and it all fits in that. And everything with the Arboretum tries to tie back to Strutt's and Loudon's original philosophy for the reason it being here in the first place.
And it's a very Victorian type of philosophy, isn't it, as well? I'm going to, if I may, can we come back to the app, because I think we've got Simon using his 4G and his phone credit, presumably, from the garden, waiting to come in. So if we can just pause the screen share there. So if you could end the screen sharing, if that's that would be great, and then we'll come back to that. Rowan, just before we bring Simon in, you've been working with Simon creating a film, haven't you, for the community garden, and I think a couple of us have seen this already, and we love it to bits. So tell us just very quickly why this film was so special for you to make.
One proper noun, Simon. He's absolutely hilarious. He's a natural, and I think there are people that don't see this side of him enough. So I was.
Well, should we bring him in and take a look for ourselves? at this character, Simon. He doesn't know what we've been saying unless he's got to open on another app. So let's bring him in and see what he has to say. So I've clicked on the admit button, so hopefully he should be joining us shortly. So I saw the image appear and go again. So, and here he is, Simon. We'll all give Simon a big wave from our various studios. So Simon, do you want to see if you can unmute yourself? So I think you're doing very well, given that you're actually doing all this from your phone. So we're layering on the technical expertise here at Friends of It. Hi, Simon.
Hi.
Morning. So
Welcome
we've got a live view now from the community gardens. So we're also sort of social distancing from our different areas. The three in the orangery are all sort of socially distanced at different ends. But Simon, are you tempted to do a bit of community gardening whilst you're there today?
Morning, Natalie. I've had a good old tour around the garden so far. Everything's looking really good. Heavy dew on the ground. I've had to take to the highest place in the community garden, which is the raised bed, to get the right effect for you all. Yeah, I'm tempted to do a bit of pruning today, but it is my day off, so I might just go and have a doze in the flowers.
Well, enjoy the community garden. Enjoy all the hard work that you, Rowan, and the rest of the community gardening group have put into it. And you and Rowan put a film together, and that was filmed, I think, about 3 weeks ago. And I imagine at this time of year, a lot can happen in a garden in terms of its development over those three weeks. So what's at its best in the garden now? What would you highlight in the garden to people as working on or looking particularly resplendent?
Well, at the moment, I'll just get down off the raised bed. You might lose me for a second. We're going wild. We're going wild. We're off road. One of the best plants at the moment is this Japanese anemone, which is looking really, really colourful at the moment. It's an ideal plant for everybody's back gardens if they've got the right position. So that's looking really good at the moment. I suppose the other good one at the moment as well is, I have a bit of a zoom around the garden for you. Hopefully I'm getting it in. Got a beautiful Rudbeckia there at the moment. That's really good for wildlife. That's only been in a year, so it's really doing well. And then every garden.
Oh, and Simon.
Yeah.
Simon, if we go back to the first one, the white flower. Now, yes. I'm the same as Rowan. I've heard Rowan mention on the film that this was very difficult to pronounce, that one. Could you help us out and tell us what the pronunciation is? Well, Rowan and I'll give it a go.
This is an anemone. It's an anemone. And it's an anemone japonica. It's a Japanese anemone.
Okay, so anemone japonica.
Anemone japonica.
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 Meaning that it comes from Japan, is my understanding.
And it's a very pretty flower. So in September, that would give a real flourish to any garden, because it's quite big as well, isn't it?
Yes, it's really sought after by gardeners for herbaceous borders. It will grow in a shady spot really well. It's really sunny and dry here, and it's still doing so well. It's certainly one for most people's gardens.
Fantastic. And now we know how to pronounce it as well.
Well, that's my pronunciation anyway.
Well, we'll follow your lead, the head gardener, Simon.
Thank you.
And then you were showing us some yellow flowers.
Yeah, this one over here, this is Rudbeckia. Let's try and get it on the screen. That's Rudbeckia goldstem. Well, there's just a frog leaping by then. It's a really great herbaceous plant for late in the season. You can see it's really bright splash of colour. And again, it's one that goes really well in the average garden in the UK.
And how do we pronounce that one, Simon?
It's Rudbeckia or Rudbeckia. People pronounce it slightly differently. I've always called it
Rudbeckia.
Sometimes they call it black-eyed Susie because of the black middle to the flowers as well.
Oh.
That's just one of the common names.
But it's very bright.
It is. I just don't want to get into the sun too much with, but this one, I don't know if you can see on the, let's see if I can get it. This one's Verbena bonariensis, which I understand means it comes from Buenos Aires in Argentina. Again, it's a real popular herbaceous plant for herbaceous borders in the UK. People really strive for it. We talk about it in the video, which is going on to premiere at 11:45 this morning. So that's one of the plants that we focus on.
And I'm glad you focused on that one, because I think that's probably my favourite in the garden, because it grows so tall. The colour is actually quite intense. I don't know if it really comes through on the camera, but it's really intense, but also intricate as well. So it's got a lot going on, hasn't it?
It has, yeah, and people really like it because while it's tall, you can still see through the plant, and so it gives some structure to your garden without being too imposing.
Because there was some that had fallen down. I don't know how. I can't remember from last year. I certainly didn't cut them for myself, but there were some. I think there was some that we were trimming away or something, and I said, "Oh, can I take these home?" And she said, "You very kindly said I could." And I put them in a tall vase, because it's very difficult to actually find things that you can put in tall vases that look effective, and they really looked stunning. So yes, they're a very firm favourite of mine.
I'm glad you had some success having it as a cut flower. I've never tried it myself, but it's something to try in the future.
So those are the three key ones, and then you've got is there any other interesting ones to show us for this time of year?
I mean, it is getting a little bit late in the season now, Natty, for a lot of things. The salvia hot lips is still flowering, but it's lost its lips. It's just gone white. It does that with the hot weather. Just going to quickly whip over to our rose and lavender bed. The lavender's going over now, but we've still got a beautiful rose flowering there. I don't know if you can see it with the sunshine, but that's been flowering.
Well, yes,
May.
We can see them. They look stunning, and also what we can see is some of the trees from the park itself in the background. And I understand that you have a bit of an issue with that very, very beautiful tree just in front of those roses.
Just slightly. Oh, I should just point out the drilling in the background is the Loudon Lodgers having work done on it today, which is really great to see. It's coming on really well. So there might be a bit of drilling every so often. Yeah, this is
we're also talking about the Loudon Lodge on Thursday, and what all that drilling is all about. And I think we've got bunting up there, haven't we, and 180 in the window. And I think Joe wants to chat a little bit about that. But yes, sorry, I interrupted you with that tree, Simon.
That's okay, Natalie. Yeah, this is a sycamore. This is Acer pseudoplatanus. It's a lovely tree. It's a lovely specimen. Unfortunately, it's right above our lavender and rose bed, which means that we end up pulling out probably 1,000 or 2 seedlings every year. But that was the first task of the gardening group when we came back from lockdown. So it's looking a lot better now. Just moving around slightly more, we've got the lovely catalpa there as well, which I know is one of Rowan's favourite trees. And it's one of my favourites as well. It's a beautiful tree and flowers really nicely later.
Well, that's been now, but Simon, I'm glad you pointed that out, because that tree's actually been mentioned a couple of times on the hashtag DerbyArbo 2020 as one of their favourite trees. So if we get a chance to share any of favourite trees today, we will. We might not get a chance till tomorrow, but that's the catalpa. It's a bean tree. That I can do those names. I can't do the Latin names. But that's a bean tree, isn't it, Simon?
It's out of the bean tree family. Yeah, it's I think this one's Catalpa speciosa. It'll be on the map that Mick was talking about earlier on the Love Explore app. So visitors will be able to check that tree out when they're using the app.
And you've got some trees of your own as part of the community group as well, but they're fruit trees, is that right?
Well, there are. There's a number of trees in the garden. We've got a beautiful crab apple here, which is a lovely purple crab, brand new variety. It's looking really good. It's called Arrow. That'll be a good pollinator for the espalier apples in the garden. We've also got on the other side of the garden, which we talk about in the film later, plum, damson, and apples and apricots. So we've got quite a lot of trees in the garden. Unfortunately, I'm facing into the sun a little bit there, so I'm going to struggle to see them unless I can go across.
And it's a really it's a really special space, isn't it? As you're walking round, and people can see that it's quite open, isn't it? And there's quite a lot of space there. Plus, obviously, there's all the trees of the Arboretum on the doorstep. So when people come together and they're doing gardening, there are people that are walking past as well, and sometimes they stop and have a chat because people are familiar or recognise walking through the park. And it really does feel like you're part of something whilst you're there. And so you run the community gardening group. You've been a bit restricted this year, but usually you run the community gardening group for a season, don't you? It's what is that season? It's sort of 6 months in the middle of the year. Which months does it run from and to?
Well,
normally?
I mean, we try where we can to be in the community garden all year, obviously less so late autumn through to early spring, just so we can keep an eye on the plants themselves. But the main season tends to be sort of April through to probably late October. Sessions are usually every fortnight on a Sunday afternoon and sometimes on a Thursday evening as well. If anybody wants to come and join us, if they send an email to us at friendsderbyarbo@gmail.com,
Yeah.
and they can get in contact with us then. And we are still, obviously, with the current situation, limiting what we're doing in the garden, obviously to meet social distancing guidelines. But where we can, we are trying to hold sessions because we think it's important to be able to get out into the fresh air and work with plants, because it helps with mental health and other issues such as that. So if anybody wants to come and join us, they're most welcome. They just drop us an email or pop along if you see us in the garden, and we can have a chat.
Excellent. I want to echo Ben's comments on the first show. I'm going to make you blush here, Simon, that you're a real asset to the Friends, because you are absolutely committed. Come rain or shine, you're there. You're the kind of the pivotal element of the gardening group, and I think that gives a sense of consistency and well-being for others as well. So it's definitely something worth being part of. And I've got a little story to tell that after when I joined, I was coming back to the lodge for tea, coffee, and biscuits afterwards. And Simon brought in some gold bars. These are chocolate bars that I'd never seen before. And I asked him for another one. And I said, look, I'll bring some next time. And I never have. But just this morning arrived in the post, especially for the show. One actually arrived in the post. So here's your gold. It's a virtual gold bar, but I'm returning the gold bar from the coffee and biscuits from afterwards. So I shall enjoy that in celebration of 108 years a bit later on. But I will promise you a real one, Simon.
Are you going to eat it on our behalf, Natalie?
I'll eat it on your behalf, but I will bring a real one in at one point and return that favour. But that's the thing. After the community gardening, there's tea and coffee often at the lodge. Not at the moment because obviously of the COVID restrictions and so on. So yes, do get in touch at friendsderbyarbo@gmail.com, and you can join the community garden. Before we come back to the studio, the orangery, we're all we're all enjoying this so much. Before we come back to, is there anything else you want to point out in the garden of interest?
I think the video which is premiering at 11:45 will cover all aspects of the garden. I don't want to talk too much about it now because you know, you want the interest of actually watching the premiere. So
the premiere.
The premiere. I think we've covered all aspects of the community garden here. I'm just stood on one of the raised beds. It's full of weeds at the moment because we've got to do some weed. These are the raised beds that we
something for people to get stuck into as well. Well, okay, well, so yeah. We'll sort of come back to the studio, but if you want to, depends on you were mentioning how long your phone could last. If you want to stay on, please do, and perhaps sit and relax and enjoy the community garden, and we'll relax with you as we're chatting back in the orangery and where we're zooming from. But thank you ever so much, Simon.
What I'll probably do, I'll have a little bit of a potter and do a bit of tidying, and then hopefully pop back for the end of the live session.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. You can show us what you've done.
Oh, well, I was just going to go and lie under the tree, really, but it sounded good.
All right. That sounds perfect. That sounds absolutely perfect. Well, we'll catch up with you again very, very shortly. So back in the orangery, where we've got Joe, Mick and Rowan, I just want to touch base with Joe, if I may. Obviously come back to Mick because it'd be good to finish off looking at the Love Exploring app now that we've got a bit of context for that as well. But Joe, we've been getting a little bit of help from a chap called Andy Savage, haven't we, who has a YouTube channel, Comedy Hunter, and he's been helping us, especially for the 180th anniversary, of video mapping the Arboretum and the community garden for YouTube. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. This is from his little Google Maps entry, and this shows the community garden filmed only a couple of days ago, and you can see the 180 in the window of our Loudon Lodge, which is the community centre we're just renovating. So that's absolutely delightful. The layout of the community garden, by the way, was inspired by the suggestion of local school children who wanted a maze. It isn't technically a maze, you know, but it's inspired by that. And it was laid out a few years ago by the Parks Department. And then the community gardeners started work on it, I think 3, 4, 5 years ago, something like that.
Well, that's that's fantastic work that's just been done in our honour for the 180th anniversary. Yes. So we're absolutely thrilled that he's been working on that. And what that means is you can go into it. It's live now, so you can go to Google Maps. You can find your way to the community garden or just the Derby Arboretum. And if you put the yellow man that is in the bottom right-hand corner, think of the yellow man as Simon. You can pick Simon up, drop him in the community garden, and you can move around the garden just as we saw Simon walking around it today, and the way you'll see him in the video as well. And the great thing about that is you can remind yourself as well as those things, because it was only filmed a couple of days ago. You hopefully, from watching the premiere today, you hopefully be able to actually identify those plants that are planted in there. So watch the premiere that we're premiering at 11:45 of Rowan and Simon walking around the garden naming those plants, and then go on to after you've watched our other premieres, of course, go on to the Google Maps and have a look at yourself and see if you can remember those and see if you can name them yourself. And Rowan, you want them to tell us if any of these plants are grown in their own gardens in the comments below the video?
Well, yes, I absolutely love that because plenty of these plants are quite universal. So if you think you've got one of our plants, it'd be lovely if you could tell us. Thank you.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. So we can see who's growing with us in the community gardens all over Derby or all over the world. So if you've got any of these plants where you're on the other side of the world, please do tell us. Put it in the comments below the video. That would be that would really thrill us, as if we weren't excited enough. If you could tell us about the plants in your garden as well, that would be fantastic. Mick, if we could go back to the Love Exploring app, if you wanted to share that, because I think we'd zoomed in so far to a particular tree, and that was the tulip tree. And I'm going to try and remember this from the screen, but it was the tulip tree was first introduced to the UK in 1688. So we'll see if I'm right when Mick shares the screen, or whether I would be told to get my coat at the next dinner party that I'm at if I've got it wrong. So we look. I think the Love Exploring app. It's geolocated, so it knows your location. It takes you to the nearest park, and then you zoom into the trees, into a particular tree, which was the tulip tree. So if you take us to the slide of the tulip tree, did I get it right, Mick?
Well, we'll soon find out. Yes, there you go. What date did you say?
1688. 1688. Yes. So we were Charles II was on the throne then. I think.
Excellent.
I think, or just about. Anyway, yes, but tulip tree was introduced to the UK.
Right. So when you're in the app, when you've got to the page with a picture of the tree, I don't think I've done it with any of these. But when you see the little blue circle up in the top left hand, it looks like a mountain range in a white square. If you do click on that, and there's more than one image of that tree, as I was talked out earlier, in terms of different foliage, a close-up of leaves or flowers, that will come up in that box, and you can screen slide through the different images of the tree, so you can get more information. And not all of them, some of them at the moment have got then a screen at the bottom. At the bottom, there's a turquoise banner, and if you slide that up, that has more information on the particular tree. Again, not all of this information for all 150 trees is there at the moment. We are working to do all of that. So this tells us a bit about
another job you're doing, Mick. You're a very busy man. You populated an app as well. Yes.
I had done it. So that's another picture of the tulip tree. So I'd clicked up into that little logo in the top left hand there, and that has given me, in its different foliage, and it's given me a close-up of the leaf and the flower bud. And I haven't loaded one of the flower yet, but there will be one of the actual flower. And the tulip tree, it's got a beautiful tulip-like flower on it. It's very beautiful. And what amazes me is,
looking at how kind of upright that is. I mean, I don't actually know the tulip flower, but looking how upright that is, that looks like that's going to burst into something fantastic from that bud.
It will do, yes. And I'm quite often amazed at talking to people as do guided tours around the Arboretum, where there's a lot of people, we tend to get around and we don't look up. And because we don't look up, we miss a lot of what's going on with trees. So there's a lot of people out there don't realise actually all trees flower in some way, and a lot of them flower incredibly beautifully. You just have to look up instead of looking at the ground at the right time of year.
Well, especially in the Derby Arboretum, because the trees have over the years have grown dramatically, haven't they? So you almost have to look up for some of those trees.
Yes. I can't spoil your quiz, but the tree you are talking about in your quiz today, only the birds usually get to see the flowers on it, and it flowers magnificently, but you do really need to be up high to see them, unfortunately. Anyway, moving on.
If you want to, with the quiz, if you want to find out about that particular tree, the answers are in the film that Mick and I have made, and you'll find out also we talk about all those magnificent flowers.
Anyway, moving through that, you can, as I mentioned before, you can scroll around the park and get slightly different views. Again, we went and looked at the Caucasian Lime on this occasion. the Caucasian, one of the Caucasian limes on the Arboretum, and this is the one we're looking at now, is actually the tallest Caucasian lime in the United Kingdom. It's not the oldest, it's not the largest in girth, but because of how it grew and it was in competition, it forced it to grow. So it is actually the tallest Caucasian lime in the United Kingdom.
Fabulous.
And then moving on to the app, there are games. Now, this is the bit I did struggle with technology to actually give you a real idea. But you can, there's trails and there's games. So what we were just looking at was the general map. In the trails, you can go into the tree trail, which is just a selection of 25 specimens. So if you don't want to look at the whole collection, you can actually do just a tree trail, and that will just take you around the park as numbered here, just generally around the park, to see a selection of 25, only 25 of the trees as you walk round. And in this case, I've just zoomed in and selected the home oak, which is another beautiful, it looks more like, its Latin name is Quercus ilex, ilex being the Latin name for the holly family. So it's actually named in Latin is oak holly. And the reason is its form is very much grown. It's an evergreen oak. It's from the Mediterranean region, and it looks very much like a holly. And even if you feel around the leaves are slightly serrated around the edge. That's another beautiful tree. And again, on
so
that
be careful.
Well, it's not sharp. It's not at all sharp, but it does have acorns on it, as you would expect from an oak when it comes about this time of year. You should be able to see acorns on it. And again, if you scroll on that turquoisey tab at the bottom and flick it up, you'll get a bit more information on that particular tree. And again, we're just moving around quickly around the Arboretum, and we've gone down to the wild pear. And again, wild pear is one of the original plantings, so it's valuable because it's been there for 180 years. And again, a bit of information on that particular variety of tree.
So how can people access this app? Is it just there's a web link that they can go to?
If you just go on to literally your app provider, whether it's your Google apps or you go on to the App Store on an iOS Apple device, and just put in "Love Exploring," you'll come up with the app, and anybody can download it. Some of the features, as you'll get onto now, because I'm just going on to the games do require quite a high functioning phone, unfortunately. So there is a Dinosaur Safari, which means you can go and find dinosaurs in the Arboretum. This is the bit that I fell down with today, because using Apple technology, it wasn't very happy, so I didn't get very far.
Well, I knew the park was old, but I wasn't expecting to find dinosaurs in it.
No, well, you can have fun if you've got the right phone, and it works better on Android, this does, than Apple, evidently, as I found out yesterday when I was trying to do this. But obviously, as I go back, there is in that main front page, you get the map, which we originally looked at. You've got the trail, which we've just looked at, and then you can go into games. At the moment, there's only the Dinosaur Safari, but there will be a fairies one, which is more. These are all directed more at family and children interaction. So there's quizzes and questions and things to find. So if you have got a phone that picks it all up, you would start. You would activate the app, and as you can see on this one here, there's the blue dot in the middle, not far from. That was where I was standing in relationship to the dinosaur, and it tells you how far away you are, and you work out. And you walk up towards the dinosaur. And as you approach go on.
I'd start running from where you are positioned there, Mick.
Yeah. And the idea is there's a quiz question about the dinosaur, about the particular species of dinosaur that you're now approaching. But as you get closer, you can switch to camera view, which will allow you to actually see the dinosaur, or should be able to. And you can even reverse screen and take a picture of yourself in the Arboretum with the dinosaur. Unfortunately, obviously, that's me getting a bit closer to the dinosaur. On this occasion, it is the time.
Too close.
But there are more than one variety on the Arboretum, roaming wild. And that's as far as I got on my technology, because I couldn't bring up an image of it. But it does work much better on Android devices.
And this is working now, is that right, Mick?
Yes, yes. This is all functioning. We have got to add history. We are going to add history to it. So there's information on history has got to be uploaded, which we're working on currently. There will be more images of the trees as we build up the catalogue of trees. There should be also a fairy trail, again, similar to the dinosaur trail, which will have quiz questions that children or families can answer as they go around and hunt for the fairies and the dinosaurs on the Arboretum.
Fantastic. So if any of you do download the Love Exploring app, so go to your app store, look for Love Exploring app, and the Love Exploring app is for presumably all the parks that they have loaded and have worked on in the UK, Arboretum being one of them. If you do photograph yourself next to the T-Rex or any dinosaur or perhaps a fairy in the future, then send that in to hashtag DerbyArbo 2020. We would love to look at pictures of you next to dinosaurs. And we've got 5 minutes left for the show, and I'd like to, I'm really curious, I do want to fit this in to find out, Joe, if anybody has guessed the dates of the photographs from yesterday's show, because it was a balloon theme yesterday, wasn't it?
Yes, it was a balloon theme yesterday, and I'm afraid no, they didn't. And I've just, I just want to share my screen, and I've lost you for a minute.
So there was it was 4 pictures that contained balloons, and I know there was a picture of an entrance which had a king, and so long life to the king, and I think the question really was there was no date on it, which king was it, so it'd be interesting to know which king it was, and that would obviously dictate the date. And I think there was another picture, and Joe was asking when was the first balloon flight, I think it was, in the UK.
Yes.
And Joe said it would surprise us. So so there was the dates of those. If no one guessed them, we can leave them up there and so give people another day to guess. But do you have any? Is it in the same file with the pictures of the ones that you want people to guess today?
Yes, I can't actually. I'm not sure if you can see what I've just put up, but I can't. I've lost you on the Zoom, so I can't.
Okay, well, we can try again with that tomorrow, and it just means it gives everyone an extra bonus day for you to guess. I think Rowan.
That's right. We're nearly out of time anyway, but you know, I had several slides all queued up for you, but perhaps we could start with those tomorrow, and then I can end with my sets that I've made for tomorrow. But I will be posting everything onto the Facebook page, and I will be sharing JPEGs of everything with my colleagues, so you can put them up on Twitter and Instagram and whatever as well. So I'm sorry about that.
Go to Facebook, have a look at these pictures, and we will start chatting about them tomorrow morning. Rowan, you wanted to add something?
No, I just wanted to say I'm very keen on looking up at the trees, and I did. I put some photos together in May and June called Look Up, and I'm hoping to photograph the same trees in the upcoming seasons.
Excellent. So that's something to look out for as well. All the amazing different things that we do on the park, and you can see how we're all so committed to this park that we love. Now I'm going to let Simon back in the last 2 minutes, back into the room, broadcasting live from the community garden. So hopefully he'll connect up with us shortly. Hello, Simon. So did you have a nice snooze under the tree?
Muted.
We can't hear you at the moment because of your mute button. So yes, I need to hit something on the phone there. So yeah, we're just asking you if you had a nice snooze under the tree. Well, whilst Simon, oh yes, he's found it.
I was hoping you're going to come back to me a moment ago, because there was a big fat squirrel sat in the middle of the community.
Oh, well, was it Steve the squirrel? Because this is Steve the squirrel. We didn't see him when he took it out. So every time we mention a squirrel on the show, anyone mentions squirrels, we get a squeak from Steve the squirrel. So
yeah,
just before we end there. Right. we've got a minute left to go, so I just want to quickly, so you'll stay with us for the end, Simon. I just want to thank everybody again and let people know what they can expect tomorrow. So remember, keep sending in pictures of trees, any to share with us. If you've watched Jenny's balloon making workshop yesterday and you're actually making balloons, please do send them in. If you happen to photograph yourself next to a dinosaur, please do send that in with the hashtag DerbyArbo2020 on any of our social media channels. And then tomorrow, oh yes, so just remember to watch all of our premieres, and we also have some music for you after the 3 premieres from a Derbyshire klezmer band by Phil Tomlinson, and this band is called Yoilville, and there's music, violin, singing, accordion. And it really is some of the most emotive stuff you'll listen to. So that was made especially for us. They perform on the park every year. And then tomorrow, please do tune in at 10 o'clock. We have Ben joining us again after his sort of several days, I would presume, celebration of his golden wedding anniversary. And he's going to talk about his premiere, which is the Florentine 4. And we have a few interesting guests on the show, and we should be live streaming in from other behind the scenes areas tomorrow. So to find out what all of that is, then please do tune in. Thank you very much again, everybody, for watching. We are absolutely thrilled that you're taking part. And yes, we'll see you again at 10 o'clock. So